Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey, welcome everyone. Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio, the premier automotive service podcast that we cover your business success, every trend and challenge and story to provide ideas and direction to you. And we bring shop owners, technicians, coaches, authors, contributors like Derek Kaufman on my YouTube channel and on every podcast listening app. And who knows, there may be a quiz at the end. Oh my God. Welcome, Derek Kaufman, managing partner, Schwarz Advisors. He's my go-to guy when it comes to what's going on with EVs and or the strategies going on in the automotive service aftermarket. Derek, so glad to have you back. There's this constant swirling. I have to tell you, it depends on what hour of the day, what day of the week, odd or even day. There's always a different kind of a message going on in the world of tech, EVs, government requirements, and climate. So there's so much government mandates, renewable energy, and on. So I'm wondering what's coming across your desk these days and how are you thinking about the transition to battery electric vehicles? Now stand by for this. This is going to be heavy stuff, everyone.
Carm, it's great to be with you again. And certainly as you ask that question, it's a very interesting time. The first thing that comes to mind is what I've been talking to some of our clients about, and it's what I call the shot not heard around the world. In March of this year, the European Union was finalizing its mandate. It had it all inked, and that would have eliminated the sale of internal combustion engines by 2035 in Europe. No more. But 7 countries, and they were led by Germany, actually the commission for the allowance of e-fuels that could keep ICE cars alive. And surprise, the EU Commission blinked, and they altered that mandate. And I think this has the potential really to absolutely change the path of EV penetration going forward. But I'll bet you that most people have heard very little about it.
I think you're right. I think the common man hasn't. I think if you're part of the industry and you get all kinds of newsletters like I do, I have seen it, but I haven't seen it to the point where someone's trying to change my mind, trying to get me to understand that these are viable alternatives. All I keep hearing about is wind and solar and electric. So since there's not a lot of press, tell us a little bit more about e-fuels.
So e-fuels are derived from combining CO2 and hydrogen. You smash those two things together, you get synthetic methanol. And the cool thing about that is that it acts exactly like gasoline. You can refine it, you can pump it through pipes, you can put it in the tank of your car and burn it. It is gasoline. What you do is you scrub CO2 out of the air, and then you use electrolysis to separate hydrogen from water. You combine the two to make the methanol. Then you have to add a cetane enhancer to burn efficiency so the engine's not knocking. But the overall outcome is a gasoline that is essentially carbon neutral. I think it can make ICE engines near zero emission and travel right alongside battery electric vehicles going forward.
Are you telling me that I would go to an e-fuels station, take the nozzle, put it in my tank, and it would just work? Or do I have to clean this engine, clean this tank, and start from scratch?
No, same engine you've got now, and the same gas station you have now, and the same tanks you have now. It is a complete replacement for gasoline. That is absolutely the essential part of this thing. But there are complications, obviously, associated with it, right?
I can imagine. What, it was $17 a gallon today?
Yeah, no, it will be expensive when you get it up into scale. In order to get it to scale, is going to take a lot of electricity. So to make e-fuels carbon neutral, you need electricity to scrub the CO2 and to break down the hydrogen. And that needs to be renewable electricity. You can't burn coal to make e-fuels. You're not exactly sidestepping carbon at that point. So there's a company called HIA kind of leading the charge, and they're down in, of all places, on this flat plain in the middle of Patagonia, down at the bottom of Chile. And they're there because the average wind speed on that plateau is 75 miles an hour.
So they're making
And
their own electric.
Yes, I had to look it up and say, really 75? And yes, really 75. They're driving wind turbines to generate the electricity. And actually, Porsche is working with them to test the fuels in their high performance engines. You're right, it's a startup process now. So the cost will be very high for a period of time. But 7 companies around the world have formed what they call the E-Fuel Alliance to ramp up that production. And they see it as a viable fuel for cars, commercial vehicles, and aircraft. And interesting, if you look at the list of 177, it's interesting to see who's on the list, but almost more interesting to see who's not. So it's tier 1 suppliers like Bosch and ZF and MAHLE, Siemens, Natera. But I think Porsche and Mazda are the only vehicle OEMs on that list.
Wow. Why not every OEM?
I think the answer to that question is political correctness. But e-fuels, just like you said in your opening statement, that you're not hearing a lot about this, e-fuels are not on the governmental plan. They are not in the renewable power narrative that you hear the press and the administration and governments around the world talking about wind and solar. So OEMs, vehicle OEMs, would risk a negative governmental response, I think, if they get out of step with a total transition to battery electric vehicles. Someone who's promoting the extension of ICE power could very likely lose favorable treatment on their investments in battery or other electric production. So I think that's my conspiracy hat on, Carm, but I think that's probably what's going on.
Good conspiracy hat, because in my thinking, Mr. Kaufman, is that there's going to have to be pressure to find the bridge, in my opinion, between this 2020, 2035. And even if we go out and subsidize vehicles to run on that, someone in our illustrious government, political, I think you had mentioned, would maybe soften the approach and have other peoples get involved. There could be a mix going forward. And the beginning of anything always has this, ooh, that must be magic. That's, ooh, don't talk to the man behind the curtain. You're not supposed to know about that. Until 117 companies, things are going on. We have to have alternatives. How do we fill in the gaps?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think there has to be a mix of near zero emission or carbon neutral fuels and full battery electric vehicles going forward. Let's just think about the commercial vehicle market for a second. So you have all kinds of things going on there: renewable diesel, biodiesel, hydrogen infused diesel, and pure hydrogen fuel cells. And they're all near zero emission solutions, and they really make a lot of sense. More sense than hauling a bunch of heavy batteries around on a Class 8 truck. But they're also all dependent on clean electricity. So the grid, obviously, and you hear these concerns, but the grid is going to need to grow quite a bit to handle e-fuels and all of these other renewable commercial vehicle fuels.
So the grid, I keep thinking about that. Never thought enough about how if we all tomorrow flipped a switch and we were all EVs, that the grid wouldn't handle it. But you have a different opinion of that.
Yeah. You won't be surprised, Carm, that I actually think about that a lot.
I'm sure you
I don't
do.
know. I don't know why.
It's your job.
Yeah, just my brain. But I'm not really concerned about the grid growing. I am over the next 5 years because I think it's going to be a real struggle with the speed of transition. But if you think about the supply of transformers and all the other infrastructure, it's going to be an ugly 5-year period at least here. But think about the history of the grid in the United States. So since 1960, the grid's grown over 400%, I think 442%, about 70% each decade. Our power demand has gone up and the grid has stayed right there. And now going forward, the thing that I'm confused about is there's so many different opinions. Some of the more classic ones are we're going to need 60% more power to be at 88% battery electric cars by 2050. Others say, no, we're going to need 2x. Elon Musk came out just a few weeks ago and said, no, we're going to need 3x. We're generating about 4 trillion kilowatt hours of energy each year in the United States. He's suggesting that I'd say, okay, I'm going to go with the middle ground and say, no, we need 2x. So that's about 100% increase in 30 years. So that's 33% a decade. And we've already demonstrated that we can grow 70%. We can do it. The key is what generates the power. So today we're 20% coal and 40% natural gas, 20% nuclear, and 20% renewables, wind and solar. And of course, we want to eliminate the coal, we want to reduce the natural gas, and we want to up the renewables. That's the narrative. I think it's wrong, but I think it's probably the topic of another forum.
Hey, it's no secret. We're facing a technician shortage, and Napa Auto Care has a solution with the Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program. The program was pioneered by one of our own. Pete McNeil and Master Technician Jeg Sorensen from McNeil's Auto Care in Sandy, Utah, realized that the problem of not having technicians available for hire was not going to solve itself and decided to take action and look at a different audience of individuals available for hire. A focus was put on younger individuals with the right passion, desire, and attitude to work in the automotive repair industry. Jake and Pete sought after these individuals and developed a technician apprentice program to give them the training needed to become a successful technician in today's world. The Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program includes a comprehensive 9-stage curriculum that includes a variety of types of training, and they are classroom training videos exclusive to the apprentice program. Now, these videos provide in-depth training from a successful master technician. Also, Autotech classes with instructor-led courses offered through Napa Autotech and Autotech e-learning. This web-based e-learning is designed to target specific training topics. And finally, hands-on learning. The apprentice will apply the skills gained from the classroom training videos, Autotech instructor-led training, and Autotech e-learnings in the shop with the guidance of a mentor. The apprentice program curriculum is competency-based, meaning an apprentice can move through each stage at a pace that best suits them. Most apprentices complete the program within 2 years. Upon completion, apprentices will have earned ASE G1, A4, A5, and AC certifications, adding industry validation to the skills an apprentice acquires. Look, having an apprentice in your shop will ultimately benefit your bottom line as they advance through the program. And in most cases, as the apprentice develops their skill set producing billable hours, you'll begin to see a growth in your gross profit by stage 5. One of the largest barriers to entry for individuals looking to enter the automotive repair industry is the cost of tools. Now, keep your apprentice motivated with an apprentice toolkit. Now, Napa Auto Care has worked with our supplying partners to offer an exclusive comprehensive tool set, including a 4-drawer tool cart for all registered apprentices. Hey, to learn more, members can visit member.napaautocare.com. We'd love to have you back. Anytime that brain overworked, you say, oh, got to tell this to Carm, got to tell this to Carm. But I guess I'm a little confused about what you're saying is the capacity is there, but do we have to build more plants?
Yeah, we do need to build more plants, but we're moving from standard utility grid, centralized utilities, Duke Energy, Consumers Power, that type of thing, to a more distributed mix, right? And as we go forward, we're trying at Schwartz to forecast what this penetration model is and what that demand on the grid is going to be. So while others are talking about the fact that we're flipping over to 100% battery electric vehicles by 2035 or 2040, we're actually showing in our forecast that we're still at roughly a 50-50 mix. We're at 52% battery electric vehicles all the way out in 2050. We just think that just the geography of the United States suggests that these low emission or carbon neutral fuels will keep ICE engines in the game. And in trucks, we're probably 25-26% of the VIO in heavy trucks by battery power by 2050.
You are bucking the trends of every headline I read.
It's absolutely true. But I'll say this, that I believe in the cycles. You mentioned cycle here a couple minutes ago, and I'm going to pick up on that. We promote a change to solve some world problem. It used to be that you promoted that as a positive statement and you gave benefits and all the value proposition. Today, we don't do that. What we do is we construct a whole set of crisis statements that the world's going to end if we don't do this. So we drive climate change statements up that curve, and we're going up. Oh, we're all going to die in 12 years or whatever it is. We get to the very peak of that, we begin to come down the curve now because it starts to dawn on us that the mining of all the materials for batteries and the pouring of all that concrete for all the posts. Concrete is a big contributor to greenhouse gases in the world. So pouring all that, covering the earth with solar panels, putting windmills out in the oceans, we're actually in the process of killing the environment to save the climate. So once that settles in and we bottom out on the curve now, we begin to find different ways to solve the problem. And that's what I see happening now. So I don't see this as, we're going to do e-fuels or we're going to do battery drive. I see absolutely the two technologies complementing each other going forward. Lots of applications out there where batteries are simply not the best solution. Big trucks and aircraft, industrial equipment. But super efficient engines burning carbon neutral fuel, perfect. We see a very large percentage of the VIO going, 52%, to battery electric, but we see ICE engines hanging in there for sure.
Wow, I agree. We could do a ton more podcasts on how you sense and see things, and I am not surprised. I think everyone who's listening to this podcast, who's read anything on e-fuels, should say, interesting. This is going to come into the mix. It's going to be so different. It's going to be an opportunity to not to have to rush to where we have to go. We can continue to invest in all of our assets, our trucks, our vehicles. We'll pay a little bit more for some e-fuel. Okay, we can survive. Who knows? No one even can tell us what the miles per gallon may be for that. And who knows? Maybe there's a trade there. I don't know. But you have given me more things to think about. When I wake up at 2:00 tomorrow morning and I can't sleep, I'm calling you.
Go right ahead.
I'm calling you and saying, you've made my brain like Swiss cheese at all this think. So there's got to be some positive in all of this. How do you see it helping shops?
Look, I think, first of all, the mix of ICE and battery electric absolutely helps shops because it keeps you in the game for what you're doing today. I think the other thing, though, Carm, is we need to understand that shops are in a very unique position now where the computational power that we have with computers is rising at an exponential rate. Shops are going to be able to ride this mixture of ICE and battery electric vehicles. They're going to have some new tools to help them do it. And I'm talking about, obviously, artificial intelligence. So if there's something else on our radar, we're trying to get a real handle on both the positives, the negatives, or the real potential problems of artificial intelligence going forward.
No doubt. We have talked about AI, machine learning a lot. Some of our podcasters on our network have handled this.
Yep.
And I really think that we're going to have to learn how to deal with that. I don't think there's an easy answer for this stuff until no different how we would read a scope, we would read an answer from an AI. Wow.
Yeah, I just find it so interesting to think about all the numbers of ways that a customer can come into your shop and tell you their car is down on power. So my car hesitates, my car stumbles, my car has no pickup, my car won't go up hills faster or whatever. I'm sure there's 100 other ways that shops have heard the same complaint. But with AI, obviously, you take a few million records in a database, you normalize that English language with artificial intelligence, you smash it together with machine learning, and all of a sudden, you'll pop out an answer that 95% the answer to this issue is the mass airflow sensor. If you think about what Mitchell 1 with SureTrack is doing, and they're working with Pretty's doing the normalization of the language, understanding that, and just going through millions of ROs to do it, I think that's a super positive side. I think the negative side is all about how you apply it. What I see happen, I know you've done other podcasts on this, so I won't go into too much detail here, but I see a lot of shops playing with the thought of using AI in CRMs. If we can automate some of that give and take with a customer, get them signed in and the car up on schedule and that type of thing, maybe I can have more efficiency. And I think that's really possible. But I think there are some issues here, some negative side too.
I think AI is challenging our software brainiacs, these people that sit behind their computer and write all this great code for us. I think they're going to really help us, as you said, take all that data that we have, all the knowledge we have on that vehicle, what the OE standard maintenance programs would be, what our shop capabilities are, what the customer wants to do with that vehicle, and give us an answer in a quick, and being able to formulate service procedures. Oh,
Yep.
you'd like
Yep.
the car to last 210,000? Great, let's put that number in and go through everything and let it come back to us. And now what we have to do as humans is we have to have the right talent. We have to have the right people with the right training and the right tools. And we could go to work on that, having AI, machine learning, as another tool in that toolbox for us. I'd like to argue against it occasionally, only on a personal basis, because it seems to me that there's too much out there. So this past weekend, I was shopping for something at a Lowe's in a town that I was in. But there's also a Lowe's in the town that I live in. So I picked up the phone, I called them, and of course, what happened is an AI person answered the phone. But I was pissed, Derek, that was going on because I wanted to speak to somebody and get an answer in a short. But I was fascinated to want to see how intelligent and smart, and if Lowe's really cared about my phone call. I let him go. I ended up getting a chance to speak to a person within about 40 seconds.
Oh,
Some people, it goes on forever, right?
oh yeah.
I think what we have to do is, let's not be closed-minded to AI. Let's open our mind. What do you like? What don't you like? And be sure that anything you bring into your own business in the form of AI to support you does it the way you want, not the way they want.
It is all at some point about the right mix of automation and human interface. I'll match your story. Getting ready for this podcast, I'm nervous because I've lost power. Today's Tuesday. We lost power last Thursday night. We had 7 tornadoes in the southern Michigan area, and just a ton of damage with trees down. So we lose power. And of course, I lose my Comcast internet. And I see AI applied correctly with one company and incorrectly with the other company. Because with consumers, they have just a brilliant tracking mechanism. They send me a text that says, we recognize your power is down. Here's where you are on a forced process. You're in step number 1. We're assigning crew to your area. When you get to step 2, you know that a crew is investigating, has been assigned. Number 3 is they're actually working on it. And number 4 is resolution. It is brilliant. It keeps you up to date. You don't need to interact with it because it's giving you information. And by the way, we have a track record of losing power a lot around here. We know that it's very accurate with the consumer's power. Comcast Internet, on the other hand, has horrible AI. So that comes on, or first of all, it doesn't tell you. You have to go into an outage map. It then tells you that you're not putting your address in correctly. It just frustrates the heck out of you, and then begins giving you estimates, and they're always wrong. By the end of it, I'm like the guy in Office Space. I want to smash the printer. I want to smash my modem from Comcast. I'm so frustrated. So I think in terms of robots and cobots. So you can, in your warehouse, you can put robots in and completely mechanize everything in the warehouse. Or you can put cobots in that assist humans in doing certain tasks. I think it's the same in shops. I'd rather see AI cobots that come in and bring efficiency to you, maybe make your folks more accurate in their diagnosis of things, make them faster doing it, but never take away that personal connection. I always tell the story, Carm. I think I've told it on your podcast before, but I get my cars serviced at Berg's Automotive Service in Grand Rapids. Al Schwinkendorf is the owner, and Rachel is the service writer. And Rachel is a genius. She knows everything about cars, and she's just absolutely great at understanding those 100 different ways to tell her something's wrong with a car. She paraphrases my problem statement, right? She's accurate on when the work can start, how much it's going to cost. She keeps in touch. Yesterday, I have my car in the shop right now. Yesterday, at the end of the day, she calls to check in and says, we're not quite done. We're going to take one more day to do this, but here's exactly where we are. So can you bottle up Rachel's knowledge and her great personality with an AI solution that helps her do that even better? That's the winning solution going forward.
Yeah, I love it. Bottle up, Rachel. I have a question about the answer that Comcast would have given you. They kept giving you times and they were wrong. What if they said to you, we are still not sure of any kind of uptime? Would you be more satisfied?
No, I actually, Consumers Power comes and says we're investigating. So we know that tells me there's somebody on it. They've recognized our down or our outage, and somebody's thinking about us. And we've got a crew in the field. And I live in the woods, and I've got a wire that comes through the woods. I'm on the first name basis with the lead boss on the truck that comes to fix it. And we take them out coffee in the cold winter nights when they come. Yeah, it can be done right and it can be done incorrectly. And we've got to find the right solution. Everybody needs to understand that with AI, everything is fed in. It's not out searching the internet for answers. All the data has been fed into ChatGPT. And if we go in the aftermarket just in a willy-nilly way and we have all shops just pinging ChatGPT on different issues, we'll ruin this and actually go backwards, I think. Yeah, if we structure it, we're going to be good.
Matt Fonzo did a podcast on that. And as a diagnostician, the benefits and the non-benefits that he sees we can have from that. As always, every time you and I get together, it goes way beyond what our expectations were, at least my expectations were on trying to figure out what the heck's going on with all these mandates and see, there's a little government here. There's some technology going on here. There's some, what's going on in the EU. Does the U.S. look at what's going on in the EU? And 2030, 2035, 2050, we are in such an interesting evolution. And I think you cleared it up for us, but it's worthy, yes, or just a little bit, but it is worthy of following up on this. The next time you have anything going on with eFuels, please let me know, because I know you've got your ear to the ground.
Yeah, glad to do it, Carm. My ongoing statement is that I'll put my bets on capitalism and technological advances.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm a capitalist. Yes. Just take that to the bank, everyone. This was great. And by the way, there were a couple of glitches on the internet with Derek. And so I apologize here in the virtual studio if we got a couple of his words, but I know the essence of our discussion is perfect. Derek Kaufman, thank you. Thank you. Managing partner, Schwarz Advisors. Appreciate all your great wisdom, sir.
As always, Carm. See you next time.